A little interview with Kat and Dianne. Two American kids doing the best they can.
That was probably the greatest introduction we'll ever have in the entirety of this podcast.
That's the new intro to the whole podcast.
That's it. Use it.
Yeah,
right,
I think we're
day.
done. So,
Yeah.
Sammy, you can stop recording. That was about all that we needed.
Drop the mic.
Well, welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Off Pitch 74. I am Dianne.
I'm Kat.
We will be playing the Portland Timbers this Saturday, presented by Audi. The game will kick off at 7:15 p.m., so be sure to get here early. We will be doing a happy hour special at the TCL 4K bar from 5:30 to 6:30 for $4 off a Modelo 24-ounce bomber in celebration of Cinco de Mayo. Again, be sure to get here early. We will be honoring Chris Dangerfield as he is being inducted into the Quakes Hall of Fame. In celebration of him, we will be giving away 5,000 Chris Dangerfield pennants at the main gate. So get here early to be sure that you're one of those first 5,000. We will also be honoring the Wells Fargo Neighborhood Nights in celebration of the Evergreen Neighborhood Night. And stick around for halftime. Be sure to be in your seats as we do induct Chris Dangerfield into the Hall of Fame, so you don't want to miss out on the special night. And today we have a very special guest. If you couldn't tell by his amazing singing voice at the beginning, we have Chris Dangerfield here on the podcast with us today. So welcome. Thank you for being here today. For those of you who don't know, Dangerfield will actually be inducted into the Quakes Hall of Fame.
Can we go with Danger?
Danger?
Yeah.
We will go with whatever you want. This is your show.
Dangerfield's
You can call us whatever
That's
you want.
Rodney, isn't it? Dangerfield, surely.
This is no longer Off Pitch 74. This is Danger 74. It's your week.
All right. It's been a long one.
I was going to say, how has it been? Are you treating it like your birthday? Are you reminding everyone that you are a Hall of Famer now?
Yeah, I have a secretary now making those calls for me. But no, it's just been great. The club has been wonderful and really incorporated everything into this week. The players, especially when they've seen me as well on the road in the last game in Columbus. I came back with the guys on the flight, and they've all been very complimentary, and the office staff have been super. So yeah, I couldn't ask for more.
That's great.
For this Saturday, are you more excited for it? Or are you more? I don't know. I feel like I would feel like it's actually here. It's actually happening. What's kind of your emotion around it?
It's not here yet. Yeah, it's coming. I know. I can feel it coming. No, I'm stoked. I mean, it's one of those things that I'm sure it's going to be emotional on the night. I'm going to the airport to pick up my daughter Daniela later today. She's flying in from London. And all my boys will be there, my family, my wife Lindy. So it's one of those things where I know that there's so many of the alumni that I'm going to see tomorrow night that are coming to the game as well. And that's kind of special because that's what it's all about for me. You play with teammates and coaches, and such a big part of your life. And for those guys to not only be your friends still, but take the time out to come and be with me on the night. I mean, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, that's great. Would you mind just giving a little background on how you came to be with the Quakes? Just for some people listening, obviously you're with the Quakes now. You're our TV commentator along with Anthony Passarelli. So you have been with the Quakes. You've been with the Quakes for a while. But would you mind just kind of going back? How did you come to be here in San Jose?
I was with the Los Angeles Aztecs, and from 79 to 79, 80, and 81. And they ended up folding up, as did most teams in the North American Soccer League at some point, it seems. I played with 10 teams in 10 years in the North American Soccer League, and mostly because those teams just folded up or moved on to another city. And I used to get sponsored by Mayflower Movers. They'd be the people that move us around from place to place. That was a joke, by the way. So at the end of that, all the players that the Aztecs owned became available for transfer, actually for acquisition. And I'd got friendly with George Best, just dropped a name. And George was great. And so he basically, I think, worked with the owner that particular time was Milan Mandrick. And he told Milan, hey, I want to get this guy up here. I think he can help us out. And so Milan bought me from the Aztecs. And that was at the end of 81. I was actually going to go and play indoor soccer. I got an offer from Pittsburgh to play indoor because I've been playing indoor soccer for the Aztecs, and I was actually quite good at it. And so I scored a bunch of goals, and so there was a new league that was up and coming called the Major Indoor Soccer League, Missile. And so I was on the radar for those guys. I had some offers because I thought I was going to be a free agent. I thought I was going to be a free agent, but in the end, Milan bought me, and I came to the Quakes.
Well, aren't you so glad that you ended up in San Jose,
I am,
California,
actually.
other than Pittsburgh? Never been there, but
They
I
only
can just
can play indoor.
yeah.
Well, the club was in a little bit of a period where it wasn't doing great at that particular time, and I remember the first time I went to practice, the actual trainer, the kit man, as it were, put a bunch of stuff on the middle of the ground, and it was basically a few shorts and a few shirts, and there wasn't enough for everybody. And
Just a fight to the death.
but Bestie's was all folded up and nice in the corner with a towel just in case he showed up. It was right there. But we had to fight for the kits, and it was kind of weird because the Aztecs was a big club. We had Johan Cruyff and other players, Wim Subia, Michael Carey, some of which came here to to the Earthquakes as well. But in the end, Carl Berg bought the club, and with Michael Diadio, and they then re-signed me to a new contract to stay longer term, which was what I wanted to do.
So now that I'm sure you've been asked the same questions over and over again this week, how did you get here? How do you feel? Now we want to get the hard-hitting questions.
Oh, there you go.
So we saw some pictures of you back in the day.
Yeah.
You had long, flowy locks and very short shorts.
Mm-hmm.
How... Explain yourself, essentially, is what we're asking.
Which people can see on the pennant that we will be handing out. So there will be 5,000 of those images running around on Saturday night, just so you are aware.
Feel free to dress like him on
Yeah.
Saturday. I mean, what better way to honor you than to wear short shorts?
I don't think there's any shorts that short available anymore. It was the uniforms, Adidas, for the most part. I think the league was all Adidas, and so those are the shorts we got. And they were very thick and coarse material, sort of shiny, plasticky looking things. And so they weren't that comfortable, actually, but they were real short. And I had this bad habit, kids, of wearing my socks all the way down. I didn't like to wear shin guards. It wasn't, I guess, the rules to wear shin guards at that particular time. So, yeah, I had a lot of leg going on.
Well, shin
You just
guards
do
back
it,
then
yeah.
were big, too.
Yeah.
My shin
Well,
guards
we used
are
to
like
cut them
for
down. We
13-year-olds
would
now.
get a pair of shin guards and cut them around and make sure they were about as small as you could possibly.
Yeah.
Even when they made us wear them, you get them as small as possible.
Right.
And just sort of force them in there a little bit. And the referee would sort of make sure you got something, and then you take them out as quick as you could.
I'm sure you probably just did it so you didn't have tan lines.
Yeah.
Let's be real. Let's just call it what it is. You didn't want any tan lines.
No, it's good. But and the hair thing was, I mean, that was just the way it was back then. I
Yeah.
mean, I think it started with a small group of 4 lads from Liverpool called the Beatles. And then, the big idols that I had growing up as far as playing, I mean, my idol was George Best. I mean, he was the greatest. And he was the first one. He was the 5th Beatle, and he was the first one to sort of break the mold of having your hair long and having your shirt out. I mean, before George, it was shirts tucked in, short back and sides haircuts, very proper. Next thing you know, gosh, here comes George, and everything changed. And that's what I sort of tried to emulate, I guess, more than anything else.
So without singling out any players or anything like that, do you look at the fashion on the field now with the hair, or even how walking up on game day, that's kind of a runway show now? I would say throughout the league, every team kind of highlights that. Do you kind of laugh at some of the fashion now? Or is there something that you just kind of, what is that?
Well, the game is so, it's much bigger in a lot of ways, but it's certainly bigger because of, this kind of stuff. It's social media. Yeah. Some of the greatest players that ever played the game, some people don't know about them because there was no footage of them playing or real footage of them playing. I mentioned George again, but he was a little bit different because he would do things outside the field. He would own boutiques and own bars and things like that. Once again, a first. And so, he used to get a lot of attraction from the media to follow him specifically. But in general, the fact that people can Instagram and tweet and everything else that goes on right now gives all these players a platform. And they get paid decent money as well. Hey,
Yeah.
If I look like those guys, I'd probably do the same thing, right?
So what was your hair care routine like back then? Was it just a wake up and go type of deal, or did you have like an hour-long process to get that mane?
Maine.
So, yeah. So there was a guys I used to play with in actually Portland was my first team, and we used to spend quite a bit of time in front of the mirror, and it was mostly just curling it under this bit here, right? Because otherwise it goes out that way. So
I do the same
get
thing.
Get the curl going
Were
like this.
you in uniform when you were doing this?
Sometimes, maybe. I'm not going there.
It just completes the whole ensemble.
Do you still have the uniform?
I do, yeah. We're going through a bunch of stuff the other night because my kids want to come to the game wearing my old shirts, and that'll be great. But I've actually got a Portland one where I probably shouldn't wear it this week. I don't think.
I think we all agree that one should probably just stay home.
Leave that one there.
So you and George Best are married to sisters.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
When I moved up here from Los Angeles, I stayed with Angela and George for a while, and I got to know George from my time in LA, and that was my first association with those guys. But many years later, and then I met her sister, which is Lindy, my wife, briefly at one point when she came over to visit, and so I knew who she was. And then many years later, I'm here in San Jose. Unfortunately, I got divorced, and was out in Los Gatos and saw her, and she was with her two boys. She had got divorced, and some friends put us together, and we ended up dating, and that was that. So
this is history.
Yeah, but it wasn't planned, believe me.
So we were talking, before we started recording, we were talking earlier about your time down in Los Angeles and everything, and how you guys would have to carpool to practices and everything. Was that still kind of the same when you were up here in San Jose? What were your thoughts on coming to? Had you even heard of San Jose prior to even coming
absolutely.
here?
Yeah, no, I wanted to be in San Jose. I came here first in 1975. I was playing with the Timbers. I was 19 at the time. I was on loan from a team in which actually Timbers just got promoted back to the EPL, called Wolverhampton Wanderers. There was 5 of us came to Portland from the Wolves. The most famous of which was a guy called Peter With, who ended up going and playing for England and Aston Villa, scored the winning goal for Aston Villa in the European Cup final in 1991 or 92. I came here to play for the Timbers. I came here, played in the first ever soccer ball in 1975 here at Spartan Stadium as well for the Timbers against the Tampa Bay Rowdies. And it was a wonderful place. It was warm weather. Beautiful stadium. The fans were engaged. My friends that I played with in Portland were both from San Jose, Nicholas, John Smiley, and they said to me, "You'll love it down here," and I did. And I always wanted to come back and play here. It's just that man, I made it happen. So as soon as I had the opportunity, I jumped at it.
So earlier you mentioned how when you came here, it was just so different. All the kids were just thrown out onto the field.
Yeah.
Were there any other kind of weird things that kind of went on that?
Well, this whole place is weird. I mean, you got Crazy George. I mean, it doesn't come more weird than that guy.
That's true. Yeah, you were around for the era of the beginning of Crazy George. What was that like when you first? I guess when you first saw Crazy George, what were your thoughts? What were the things that were going through your head?
Well, the first time we came across him was with the Timbers, and I know that downstairs Magic's got the old footage of the game, and basically we were out there warming up, and next thing you know, this truck arrives, and out gets Crazy George with a Bengal tiger. And the Bengal tiger is about the size of this table. I mean, it's way up here. It's a big old thing. And the idea was this tiger was going to apparently be trained to kick the ball with his paws down into the goal. But the crowd went crazy, and the tiger freaked out a little bit and bit the ball and burst it. And there's actually pictures that we saw earlier that I'm sort of warming up and kicking the ball at the goalkeeper, and there's a tiger walking up behind me. And it's like, and that's George. And he came out of the back of cars. He got blown up. He parachutes in. And but that wasn't just here. That was all around the league. I remember in Dallas, they had a monkey. And the monkey would, with a little guy, one of those organ monkeys, and it would basically, when they scored, it would run at the post, go along the crossbar, and down the other post.
A real monkey.
A real monkey, a little one of those organ grinder monkeys.
We're not doing it right.
And, there was all
Kat,
sorts of different things. Yeah. And then there's the Cosmos. That's a completely different story. We're not going there.
Why don't we go there a little bit?
Yeah. One of my favorite things to watch is if I'm on field and for pregame is to watch the other team's reaction to Crazy George. I always look at their reaction because they just don't really quite get it. But it's our fans love it. Obviously, our team gets it. But watching other people's reaction to it is priceless. It's my favorite.
I think George has a reaction to himself when he looks in the mirror every morning, I tell you. I mean, he must do, right? Can you imagine waking up to that? Yeah.
We'll get him on the next podcast, and we'll ask him some questions about that.
Yeah. Direct quote. So what's one thing, I mean, you've had an awesome career. What's one thing that you watch youth soccer now, you have the academy. What's one thing that you would want academy kids and players coming up now to know, or what's a piece of advice that you would give them?
Well, from a local perspective and an American perspective, I think that the young players need to recognize that we have now, with the Earthquakes and in America, a real league with really good clubs to play for, Major League Soccer. When I was coaching here locally, we'd have so many young lads that would, boys and girls, that wanted to go and play. They're always talking about going to play somewhere else, not playing here in America.
Right.
And I think that it's very important for the up-and-coming young players now to support the local team, which is the Earthquakes, if we're talking about Northern California, and want to play for that team. When I grew up, I always wanted to play for Wolverhampton Wanderers because they were my local team and the team I supported. My actual team I support now is Aston Villa because that's where I'm from, in Birmingham. But at the time, they were my team, the one I wanted. They were ones I supported. My brother was a Man United fan. And so when I had a choice of several clubs to sign for, I wanted to play for the Wolves. And I think it's very important we get to that point, not only with our academy players, I mean, those are obvious ones, but I still remember from my times coaching here locally with the talented young players, they all want to go and play League MX, and their parents want them to go and play League MX. And I think they need to recognize what the clubs are trying to do here in America, because there's great opportunity with these clubs as well,
right,
to build your career.
Yeah. I think that idea will definitely transfer into the national team as well, national game, and we kind of need that foundation first.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the more success these academies have is going to breed more and more players to be considered for the national team. So that is the number one goal, probably in Major League Soccer, is to basically make our national team not miss any World Cups again.
Yes.
Very fair. Okay, I'm going to steer away from soccer for a quick second. You've lived here in San Jose now for quite some time. When you have people coming into town from out of the country or who've never been here before, what places do you take them to? What are some of your favorite San Jose spots that you will show people around to?
Well, we normally head over to the beach. My best friend Andy Hewitt owns the Britannia Arms in Capitola, so we go over there and see him. I love going down the Carmel Valley area. That's where I like to go. If they're wine tasters, and who isn't, we'll go to Napa, those type of areas. It's great. I mean, it's actually one of these annoying places here because so many people want to come and visit you that you feel like it's not as bad as Los Angeles was. I played one season for the California Surf, and we were based out of Anaheim Stadium. God, I had a lot of visitors wanted to go to Disneyland. Everybody wanted to come to Disneyland that year.
We want to go to Disneyland all the time.
You should.
We did last year for the LA game.
We had these people who used to take us to into the park, people we met, and I had the little kids that come with my wife's sister's kids and all that kind of stuff. They come, and we take them into the park, and they see the parades and all the characters, the big characters and all their outfits. But they took us backstage one time, and I remember that our little niece was with us, and as they're going down, here comes Mickey Mouse, and he takes his head off.
Oh, no.
God, it's traumatizing.
Freaked him out,
And it was on that day that she learned the truth.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
I do see that you actually played in Hawaii for 1 year.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah, how was that?
Same year, Las Vegas and Hawaii. I was in Las Vegas, and then halfway through the year, the guy who was the general manager of Portland went to start the team in Hawaii, and they'd been trying to get me, and I didn't want to go first. I signed for Las Vegas. We had Eusebio, and that seemed like a lot of fun. That started off real well, then it went bad. Then Hawaii came and traded for me, and so I went to Hawaii. We used to live in Aiea, which is just above Pearl Harbor. If you go there, you can still see the two tall high-rises that are there. We used to live in there. And you could see Aloha Stadium. And every morning we would go down. When we were at home, the lads would meet downstairs, and you'd have a pair of shorts on and flip-flops, and you'd jump in the cars, you'd go and train by putting your soccer shoes on. And by the time you got back, the wives and girlfriends would basically have some barbecue stuff and everything. No, some stuff to go to. We go to a different beach every day, and then we found a red coat and a chef's hat, and so we take it in turns. If it's your turn to cook, you put the chef's hat on, and we do that. And if you wanted to do the drinks, you had to put the red coat on. And that's what we did every night. And we were in bed by 9 o'clock because you were up so early. There was no air conditioning in these high rises. So we're up at 6:30, go to bed at 9. And when we travel, a road trip would be a road trip.
Yeah, those are far.
I remember coming back a few times on planes from Los Angeles or Seattle or whatever it was back to Hawaii. And literally the team would basically be the only people on the plane because, you had to go there and we would do a road trip which would be like LA, San Diego, Vancouver, Seattle, then back again,
Jeez. Yeah, I think that we think road trips are hard from San Jose, like going to the East Coast and everything. I could imagine having to fly from Hawaii. You have a time change or going across like the ocean to come here or go even further. So it's pretty interesting. But you can't beat like going to practice and then just going right to the beach. So
the team then, I went back to England and I was playing in England and got a phone call to go and meet the coach of the team Hawaii. And so I went and met him and he said, I've got good news and bad news for you. So what's that? He said, well, the good news, I want you to come and play for me again next year. I said, okay, sounds great. Oh, what's the bad news? He said, we've moved the team to Tulsa, Oklahoma.
So he had you agree to it before he told you about the location. You're like, yeah, sure, I'll play for Team Hawaii again.
I played one game for Tulsa, and I'm out of there.
It's like the Wild West back then.
It was.
Well, now I understand why you only played one game.
It's on our notes.
Yeah.
Played one game. Why?
Question mark?
Have you been to Tulsa? Sorry, Tulsa.
It's okay. We've never been, but you have, and that's enough for us.
Yeah, we'll take your word for it.
Yeah, we'll take your recommendation.
When he came from Hawaii, it's a bit of a culture shock in that one, yeah.
Yeah,
and then I found out California surf wanted me, so I said, I've got a surfboard.
Yeah, the second you hear that, you're like, see you later.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. Well, I just really want to say thank you so much for joining us today.
You're welcome.
We're really excited to bring you into the Hall of Fame on Saturday. Excited to see your induction ceremony, and it is very well deserved. So just want to say congratulations again.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome. I'm really looking forward to it, and it's going to be a great night for me and my family, and it's a special night for a lot of reasons, and mostly, from my opinion, for the fans that have been so supportive over the years as well, at Spartan, at Buckshore, at Stanford, and now at Via. So it's going to be a great night.
Thanks for listening. Looking forward to seeing you all out this Saturday. Let us know. Tweet at us. #offpitch74. Let us know who you want us to have on. This could be someone from the front office. This could be players, maybe even coaching stuff. Whatever you want, you let us know. Just be sure to tweet at us and we'll try to make it happen. 2 weeks, next podcast, 2 weeks. May 19th. Thanks for listening.